Hello everyone, welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Joette Wong. I am the Customer Success Manager, and I am here to welcome you to today's webinar, Insight and Strategy for Solution Architect. I'm excited to kick things off and introduce our main speaker, Awais, who's going to take us on a journey through the wonderful world of Solution Architect.
Thanks, Joette. Hi, everyone. Quick welcome from my side as well. My name is Awais Malik, and I look after the pre-sales. Been working with Orbus for over 5 years now, and been in the industry for over 10 years. Had multiple roles across throughout my career. Started with this technical consultant, been involved as a solution architect, as well as being recently been the director of professional services and pre-sales in the APAC region. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get started, a little housekeeping. Unfortunately, everyone is muted, but if you have any questions, please use the question panel throughout the session to submit your questions there. If we have time, we'll answer a couple of questions towards the end of the presentation. If not, we will still post them on Orbus Nexus, which is our community forum, or email you directly. The webinar is recorded and will be emailed to all the attendees automatically, and the recording will be available on both Hive and YouTube. Next slide, please, Awais. Agenda for today, quick introduction to the webinar, which we've just already done, and then a solution architecture overview, and then we'll start the demonstration, and then towards the end, Q&A. Before we dive in, next slide. Let's make sure we're all on the same page about what solution architecture actually is. Don't worry, I'll keep this light and fun for everyone. So what exactly is solution architecture? Well, it's kind of like figuring out the best route to take on the road trip. You know, not just randomly picking roads and hoping for the best. Instead, you're carefully considering factors like distance, travel condition, scenic routes, and ensuring that you reach the destination effectively and enjoyably. For business, it's all about designing and describing the best way to tackle specific problems or opportunity, whether it's streamlining processes, improving efficiency, or launching a new product or service. It's critical to have solution architecture in any organization. It's the glue that holds everything together in the digital world. It's what helps us bridge the gap between what business wants and what's actually possible with technology. Without it, we'll be stumbling around in the dark trying to make sense with all these ideas and requirements. But hey, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are challenges along the way, like dealing with conflict, priority, and tight deadlines, ever-changing requirements. Solution architects have their work cut out for them. They need to find best way to overcome these obstacles and keep the project on the track. Hopefully everyone's a little bit excited to what's to come, because I can't wait to deep dive into the topic. So bring it back to Awais, who will go through the demonstration. Thanks, Awais.
Thank you, Joette. Okay, for the next 45 minutes, I would essentially walk you through what the best practice would look like when it comes to solution architecture, and we'll show you some tips and tricks as well, essentially how you can leverage some of our out-of-box automations to help you to deliver some of these solutions. When it comes to solution architecture, broadly speaking, there are few key steps, which is required generally in all of your solutions. So for today, these are some of the topics which we're going to look into. We'll start with the transformation or project management itself. Essentially, how do you get started on a new project? When it comes to a new project, what are the some of the elements you can reuse from the rest of the business, such as patterns or using some of the reference architecture? From here onwards, you can start working on your individual solutions, which can start from requirements management. We'll walk in through what are the different integrations we have for you to bring in your requirements catalog into EA platform, Orbus Infinity, and how you can essentially make use of the requirements traceability to ensure that you are delivering your projects and it's meeting the requirements. From here onwards, we will also look into the conceptual architecture itself. How do you create new diagrams? What are the different notations and templates which are commonly being used in the industry? And essentially how you can also make use of some of our plugins to get the diagrams up and running quickly. Lastly, when it comes to architecture design itself, before you can finalize your decision, you need to do some analysis on multiple scenarios, and this will allow us to look at what are the scenario impacts would be for option A, option B, option C, and essentially how can we also register some of the decisions which we're going to make as well in the architecture decisions. Lastly, this all comes down to documentation and distribution. So essentially that would be a good pathway for us to document everything into a SAT document, solution architecture document, or even on the web portal. So there are multiple different ways how you can share and communicate your solutions with the wider business team. All right, let's start with the first project and transformation management. Now, to get started, essentially you would be working on different workspaces. So here's an example of how you can work side by side with Enterprise Architect. On the top, we have Enterprise Architect who are looking after your current state of your organization, which could be called baseline architecture. They are responsible for maintaining inventories. They are responsible for identifying some candidate projects and helping people to make decisions by providing those roadmaps. When it comes to projects, as a solution architect, we would be working in our own workspace. And this project area can essentially allow us to ensure that we can collaborate, we can create new scenarios and new solutions without impacting our baseline. And part of your journey, you will be essentially making your decisions. You would be creating some documents that can go through the change management process. There would be a lot of workflows you can leverage that allows you to ensure that your solutions has been approved before it gets merged back to baseline. And these are some of the good ways, and it is the best practice to essentially allow you to manage your projects and make use of the reuse functionality, which allows you to reuse a lot of content from baseline. What's a typical process would look like to request a new workspace? Well, as an administrator, you can request a new workspace. So in Orbus Infinity, that's what we call a model. So a model is a workspace that allows me to create content that will not impact my current baseline. Now, every time we're starting something new, it's great that we can start from scratch, but there's a lot of great work which has already been done by some of our peers. So part of your new creating of your new workspace, you need to define the scope of the project. And this will allow you to ensure that you are leveraging and reusing some of the existing content as well from the baseline architecture repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my environment and give you some demo of what does it look like and how can we reuse some of the content. Now, Orbus Infinity already have a built-in functionality that allows us to reuse content, and these could be in the form of your diagrams, it can be in the form of your portfolios, or it could be in the form of your patrons. So we'll look up some examples today. What I'm showing you right now on the screen is the Orbus Infinity web application. On the left-hand side, I do have some workspaces defined here. As you can see, I do have some workspaces for my baseline and target architecture that would be maintained by my enterprise architects team. But then I do have some running projects currently, which is digital banking transformation or my energy platform. For me to switch around between these different workspaces is as simple as toggle things on and off. So if I would like to understand what's in my baseline, I can just simply select baseline model, and this will allow me to essentially see all my data that sits within the baseline architecture. Now you can see some of my current state shows me my list of application portfolios or technology portfolios. And we can reuse some of these components straight from baseline into my newly created project called Digital Banking Transformation. I can also create some dashboards for my projects. So these dashboards allows me to create some quick views to see what are the different portfolios I can leverage from baseline and what are the different decisions catalogs I'm going to maintain moving forward for me to capture this solution. We'll start with the baseline application portfolio. And in this view, we'll be able to see then all the list of different number of applications currently sitting in our repository. Now, whenever you're looking at some of the portfolio, I can simply search for certain applications if that's something which I would like to reuse into my newly created project. So in this case, if I would like to use CBS Online, I can simply look at that application. Now, I do have an options to reuse, and I can do this on one application itself, or I can do this in a bulk of applications or portfolios as well. Now, when we are reusing some of our content, the platform allows us to ensure that you can potentially clone the entire application into your workspace, or you can also have some flexibility to unlink some of the metadata so you can track the changes as well as you go. So for this instance, if I'm looking at some of my business fit value, I can say in my new project area, the business fit value will be 3.2. Or if it comes down to some of the additional recommendation, I can say it's going to be tolerate. So you can see how I can make some changes into my project space, workspace, and this will allow me to do the gap analysis between baseline and my current project timelines. How can I access that? Well, we already have a timeline functionality here as well, but I will demonstrate some of the gap analysis reports as well. So in this example, the same application is currently being used in my baseline target models, and it's also being used in multiple other projects as well. And that's a good way for me to identify what are the different changes we're going to, other projects are going to make on this project, on this application, and how does that impact my current solution. From here onwards, I can also reuse some of the patterns as well. Let me just resize this page. But ideally, on your reference architecture, you can have multiple different patterns, or reference architecture models, which you can bring it into your canvas as well and reuse into your newly created project. So if I would like to reuse some of my patterns, I can simply select them and reuse them into my project area. This also applies to different other ways how you can also start the scope of your projects. This could also be part of your out-of-box solutions, which you currently can access, and you can understand what are the different solution building blocks each of these solution contains, and you can again reuse all of these building blocks in bulk as well into your new projects. Lastly, there's another view which gives me a reference architecture for my IT standards. I have some heat maps here as well that shows me some of my standard technologies. And if I'm starting something new, I would be making sure that I am using some of my standard or some of my proposed standards which are may not have been gone live. Once we have defined the scope of the project, this will allow me to start creating my solutions in my newly created workspace. And this will also allow me to ensure that I am not making any changes, but I can track any changes which is happening from baseline to my newly created projects. Now, as part of your journey throughout the projects, once you have delivered your solutions and you are ready to publish that solution, there would be another workflow, there would be another process for you to merge all of this content back to baseline, because as soon as your solutions are delivered or some of the milestones has been delivered, you would be merging all this content back into your baseline model. For this, we do provide a number of different Power Automate workflows as well. We do have a Power Automate connector that allows us to move your documents, diagrams, as well as the content within those diagrams can be moved in from one workspace back to your baseline. And this will allow you to also give you decision if it needs to be merged or if it's something relatively new. Again, we'll get to see this in the solution design, where we can do some more gap analysis before we actually going to merge things back. And just wanted to call out that in Orbus Infinity, in our current roadmap, we are also going to have hierarchical workspaces as well. This will allow me to not only create just a project workspace, but it also allows me to create more scenario space as well within each of those workspaces itself. And from there onwards, we can start doing some compare and start merging that content back into baseline. There's a few more target state simulation, which we're going to look into today, but there is quite a lot of flexibility when it comes down to managing your projects. Okay, now we have to define the scope of the project. Now we have the good starting point. How do we start building our solutions? For this, we're going to start with the requirements gathering. Orbus Infinity provides a number of different out-of-box integrations and REST API for you to bring some of your requirements if you are capturing them in a separate tools or systems. So we do, here's an example of our integration with Azure DevOps. So if you have some requirements which has been captured part of your initial scope in DevOps or in Jira, we provide integrations out of box for you to bring this information into our platform. From here onwards, once this information is in our environment, we can start maintaining those requirements straight into Orbus Infinity. What I'm showing you right now is SharePoint side, and this has some of our catalogs which has been imported from Jira embedded into this. So there are some web parts which is again coming back from Orbus Infinity, and this allows me to understand what are the different catalogs for individual projects I have in my repository or in my project. And essentially, this will also allows me to start maintaining that information as well. On the bottom, I do have some visuals as well that gives me a good ideas as well. Essentially, what are the different requirements, which is helping me to deliver certain projects. And this also allows me to look at the impact analysis and traceability from here onwards. If you do not have any systems to capture these requirements, you can start maintaining them through within Orbus Infinity, or you can make use of some of our new integration with SharePoint forms. This will allow you to start capturing new requirements and attach them to your projects as well. And all of this data will feed into our portfolios repository. Once you have your requirements catalog, it's time for us to start looking at the traceability to understand how certain requirements will be met and what are the epics and features which will be delivered as part of those requirements, and what are the strategic goals it helped us to deliver as well. So in this case, I'm showing you some traceability for requirements. So all of my requirements are listed here, and it gives me a good understanding what are the different projects it's linked to. And these projects will be helping us to deliver some strategic outcomes, which are listed down on the bottom. This allows us to not only manage our requirements, but it also allows us to ensure that we are keeping track of what requirements has been met as part of our individual solutions. How do you map them? You can make use of some of our views, which could be landscape views, such as for Jira, you can have your open, reopen, and general categories of requirements, or you can potentially use some of the metrics views that can allow you to map some of your standard requirements to multiple projects. And these mappings can all allows you to keep track and have the traceability for your requirements. We also provide a number of different templates in Visio that allows you to create your requirements viewpoints, like such as Archimate requirements realization viewpoint, or your goal realization that leverage requirements, and allows you to understand how certain requirements is going to deliver some of your strategic goals, or how they are going to be consumed by some of your application services or technology services as well. So there's a number of different templates which we will get to explore today as well. and this will allow you to start managing your requirements. Okay, from here onwards, I would like to cover more conceptual architecture. When it comes to conceptual architecture, we do have quite a number of different templates which we support out of box, including TOGAF, Archimate, and some of the other frameworks as well, which includes UML, C4, or your cloud architecture. Essentially, for Orbus, you can have multiple projects running using different frameworks as well, and we provide different mappings when it comes to these different frameworks. For example, one project can be using cloud architecture, or the other solution might be using UML as well. And all of these will be essentially can be embedded into our Infinity platform, and you can assign different solutions, different frameworks to your projects as well. Let me give you an example. What does it look like for different type of projects? But essentially, there are a whole range of different notations and templates you can have to allow you to ensure that you creating your conceptual architecture diagrams using the right stencils and the right templates out of box. We provide integration with Visio Online, and this Visio Online allows us to ensure that we have these templates out of box and standardized for your use. Just gonna try to quickly bring it up, the conceptual architecture examples for you. All right, so what I'm showing you right now on the screen is essentially all of these templates are out of box in our platform, and as a best practice, you would like to ensure that you are defining some of the commonly used notations and templates, what you generally require for your organizations to have. And this will allow you to ensure that you have standardization across all your different models. What are the different types of templates you would be looking at? Well, essentially, there are different domains. We're looking at business architecture to information, security, system architecture, and you're all the way on the top down, you were looking at application and technology domains. Each of them can leverage different meta model or frameworks. So in this example, I'm showing you an example from TOGAF, but this is a conceptual solution architecture diagram, which you can ensure that every solution needs to have a conceptual solution architecture artifact. Some of the other artifacts could look like in different stencils from Azure or from AWS, which help us to create more detailed level of application architecture. We also provide other notations as well from our Core EA framework, which is more easier for people to quickly design something without having a need to be trained or be certified in different frameworks. So this is an application context diagram, which is leveraging Core EA, which is Orbus meta model, which is easier and simpler to adopt. Here's a couple more examples for some more Visio templates, which you should be leveraging in your solutions. So BPMN, we are fully compliant with the BPMN templates, and that should allow you to ensure that every time someone creating a solution that are compliant with some of these standards as well. We have conceptual data architecture, or even goes towards the logical data architecture as well. There are a few more examples for integration architecture where you can demonstrate how certain interfaces is being consumed or providing to your applications as well. So in this example, I'm looking at application integration, and some of my applications are providing to interface, and some of my applications are consuming the information from those interfaces. There's also data entities as well, which is the information itself, and it helps me to understand which application processes which data entity. And I can add more details about which applications are creating, reading, updating, or deleting. So CRUD metrics for certain information data entities by application. Lastly, we also look at the technology domain as well. And again, these are some of the examples which is good for you to demonstrate that these are the commonly used diagrams which you should leverage within your organization. And there shouldn't be more than, I would say, 10 to types of templates you would have a need for every solution. But again, depending on different notations, you can potentially open up and use different frameworks as well. Okay, how do we use these different frameworks in our platform? So what I'm showing you right now on my screen is another example. And in this example, if I look up my project A, which is a workspace, I can see it's leveraging some of my Azure meta model. If I toggle these things off, I can see in project A, it's using either TOGAF or Archimate, or I can potentially demonstrate how my other solutions like project B can also leverage some other solutions such as UML or different frameworks. So all of them are essentially accessible through the platform, and people can easily toggle individual frameworks on and off as well. All right, once you have defined what's the conceptual architecture diagrams templates would look like for you, from here onwards, you can start looking at your solution design. What's included in the solution design? You can make use of some of our dashboards, which are displayed earlier as well. And these dashboards can be reused multiple times as well for your different solutions. But ideally, this would be a good way for you to document all of your strategic alignment to your requirements, to integrations, or whatever the solution contains can be documented into dashboards. From here onwards, you can potentially start using solution design artifacts that can help you to make decisions quicker. As a starting point, we provide a number of different reports that can help you to start understanding your solution scope, and also look at some of the different scenarios you would be creating and how can you rate certain solutions to help you to make a better decision. So in this example, what I'm showing you right now is individual solutions, and you can start providing assessments on those solutions and understanding what's the touch points would be when it comes to integrations or technology, or what are the touch points from a business domain, or what are the risk or the data information would it be essentially touch points. So this will become your solution on a page that gives quite a good information for people to understand what's the solution would bring in, and these can be then replicated for multiple scenarios. So I'll bring up some scenarios as well. So in this case, I'm looking at 3 different scenarios, and these 3 different scenarios will allow me to capture their advantages and disadvantages, some of the benefits they would bring in, and some of what's the estimated benefits and the investment cost would look like. Each of those scenarios will again have different touch points, or they would be adding or removing some of the processes, or they would essentially introducing some brand new technologies as well. And this solution analysis allows us to ensure that we have a good comparison before we are ready to make a decision. How can we do comparisons between certain solutions? Well, we can do them through a different number of, number of different reports as well. We have seen previously a timeline feature that shows me on an individual application level, but this could also be done on a diagrams level as well. So in this case, I'm looking at my current state application diagram, integration diagram that shows me my solution, what's the baseline should look like. And it also look at what's the future state, what's the target solution I'm proposing, and what are the changes I will be bringing in as part of this diagram. Now, I can do side-by-side comparison, and that would allow me to ensure and check what are the information it will be bringing in, what are some of the components it will help me to create, what are the components it will help me to optimize, and what are some of the components it will allow me to retire. Now, these can also be done on quite a number of different ways as well. Here's another example of the comparison between the entire workspaces. So in this example, I have baseline architecture as one workspace and target architecture as a second. And I can get a quick count and say, what are the applications, number of applications in my baseline versus what's in my target architecture. This could be done for a number of different workspaces. So currently I only have 2 activated in my report, but I can now drill through and understand differences within that solutions or workspace as well. And in this example, I'm looking at the modal analysis, which allows me to see what are the different applications which has been part of my current state and which one is not part of my target state. And you get a quick summary to identify that there are almost going to be 73, which only exist in my target state. Now, this could be obviously for solutions. This could be a different number of items. It could be new processes or new technologies or new information that doesn't exist in your baseline. On the right-hand side, I do have some information for my dependencies as well, which we call relationships. And this allows me to track what are the technologies or application underlying I am going to be replacing with. And this allows me to track the changes between not only just on the portfolio level, but also the integrations and the dependencies. In order for me to get a better understanding, I can always drill through to these reports, which gives me further details and gives me more information about what exactly has been changed between certain your current state to your projects, and allows me to do that before I can make a decision on this solution. I can have a great insights and impact analysis before I can essentially choose my different scenarios. If there's a requirement for you to manage some of these decisions, we provide out-of-box support for architecture decision register as well. And this could be captured not only for your solutions or for your exception requests, it could be captured obviously for your enterprise architecture needs as well. So in this example, I do have architecture decision register that is essentially helping me to maintain my portfolio. Just going to refresh. Had this page is open for a while. But these decisions can be maintained in your in an architecture decision register straight from SharePoint side. And again, these information will feed back into some of our Power BI reports as well. So how does the Power BI reports would look like? Here's the architecture decision register. And again, there are different types of decisions you would be making, either exemptions or either you would be making for your architecture patrons. And what was the decision made? And what are the options were considered as well? So these decisions catalog can be maintained within our platform. And each of these will have some dependencies as well, which you can understand what are the assets or what are the impacts for each decisions were, and before you could essentially get it approved. Again, if you're looking at from an insights point of view, we do provide some reports that allows you to capture your architecture decisions over time and understand what were the changes made for each of these different domains. So you can have some decisions types for your solutions. In this case, it could be your patrons, or it could be your technical standards or your technical standards exceptions every time a solution is being built. For each of these decisions, you can understand the impact as well, what's the impact looks like. So in this example, this decision had quite a lot of number of different components which were impacted, and it's a good understanding to maintain this information every time some decision has been made. Part of your solutions design, it may allow you to, there might be a requirement for you to start managing your technical debt as well. And again, that's something which we can maintain using Orbus Infinity platform, and allows us to start looking at some of the insights as well. In order for you to log a new technical debt, you can use some of the forms and surveys as well that allows you to capture your technical debts for certain applications or certain technologies straight using SharePoint side. And this is all based on the paid Gartner paid framework that allows you to understand how you're going to prioritize, or you're going to essentially look at the impact from the business, from the risk, and what's the remediation course would look like as well. Once you have managed your technical debt, these can be again maintained using some of our technical debt insights that allows us to understand what are the technical debt items in our portfolio and what's we currently maintaining or currently trying to prioritize, and how does that impact our overall business strategy as well. So this is a business technical debt prioritization, which is using again the paid recommendation, and it gives me a quick overview of some of my technical debt items. Okay, this was essentially helped me to identify how can I use some of my decision automations in order to before I can publish my content. The last part to the documents would be, how do I distribute this information with my wider business team? For this, we provide a number of different solutions as well, or there are different number of different solutions you can leverage. So in this example, I'm just going to bringing in one example. These are some of the live SharePoint pages, and this is a good way for me to also create a template that can be obviously reused moving forward. This allows me to ensure that all of my projects, all of the diagrams and documents which has been produced, part of the individual project has been captured. It also allows me to obviously capture some of the information, what's the context for individual projects was, and some of the scope and the some of the constraints that was part of those solutions. From here onwards, you can also embed some of your content straight from the Orbus Infinity. And this could be in the form of diagrams, and these diagrams can be all live diagrams. Now, essentially, this is all interactive way for people to access the information, individual documents for projects, and they can interact and they can get a better understanding. So they can, even for individual diagrams, they're looking at the Orbus Infinity plugin on the right-hand side and get a better understanding that what are the different tasks which has been performed, or which are the different roles which are going to be performing this entire process. And this information can be quite handy for people to understand what was the project outcomes was. This could be applied for a number of different diagrams, as I said, but it can also be allows you to ensure that all your customer journey and all of your solution information is being captured in one place. In addition to embedding some of the content into SharePoint side or Confluence, you can potentially make use of some of our Word add-in as well. And this is a great way for you to ensure that you are creating some of the standardized solution documents straight from Word. So in this example, what I'm showing you right now is you can upload these templates into your SharePoint side, or you can upload them into your Confluence, but these templates should be used moving forward by all the solution architects. And on the right-hand side, I will have the plugin, and I'll give you a quick demo to demonstrate how you can make use of some of our plugin on Microsoft Word to embed quite a lot of good information which can come from your workspace repository. So in this example, these are some of the diagrams which has been produced in the Visio, but instead of me copying and pasting a screenshot, I'm actually inserting these diagrams as a live link. And this will allow me to ensure that all of my information, all of my document is up to date as I make some changes into my document. In order for me to refresh something, I can just simply refresh a document, and this allows me to refresh all the components underneath this document itself. What can we embed into these documents? Well, there could be your catalogs. So initially, we look at the requirements gathering. Those can be captured for individual projects, and you can start embedding them into a Word document. Again, all of this is a dynamic view. A refresh would allow me to ensure that any new requirements has been captured will also will be added into the project. From here onwards, I do have some more examples of the diagrams, but also what's inside these diagrams. What are the components? What are the processes being involved in this individual diagrams of this solution, and help me to capture some of the metadata as well. So some of the metadata can come from my baseline architecture, which some other integrations are maintaining it. And as part of my solution, I'm leveraging and I'm reusing a lot of content from the baseline repository in my workspace and now creating a great document as an outcome. We do have some templates which you can download from our community page, which we're going to cover very briefly as well. But essentially, these are the templates which allows us to ensure that we can have different solution design documents templates, and we can share this with your vendors as well. But ideally, you can then insert the diagrams. You can insert some of your objects and attributes, or you can also insert certain views like matrix view, which we have seen previously. Some of the static content obviously will be part of your documents, and it's all will be driven from the live repository information from your Orbus Infinity or EA repository itself. Okay, this brings into my demo. I'm happy to take some questions as well. But before we do as well, I think so the only thing which we want to call out that we do have our community page, which allows you to register and see what are the new webinars which we are about to run. So maybe Joette, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Awais. We have a bunch of questions, so let me just quickly, since I still have you here, let me quickly go through them and you can help answer them. So what meta model was the demo using? It wasn't Core EA because Core EA doesn't have the pattern object.
Sure. So that's right. So we do have extensions to add the pattern objects. So if I may show you my environment right now, I have created the reference architecture repository, which allows me to capture patterns, but these meta models are, in my case, I'm creating an object type called solution. That solution itself is going to be maintained as a separate entity, which will help me to capture some of the building blocks underneath. So there's a reference on pattern architecture workspace, which I've created, which I try to normally reuse quite a lot. And the object type is the addition, it's an add-on from Core EA, which is a solution object type.
Thank you. Next question. We have different vendors within the organization using Orbus Infinity. How can we hide our projects from them?
Okay. Okay, for this, maybe I'll bring up an example from the workspaces as well. And I think so this is a good example because as an enterprise architect or as your solution architect, you may get access to multiple solutions, or you can create a number of different profiles. So what I'm showing you on the screen is the web application, and there are different roles on the top right. And depending on your profiles and your permissions, we can allocate profile, which only gives you access to your workspace. So if I toggle all of my project roles and I only select project A as a team, you can see everything else has been hidden for me, and I will not be able to access what's happening in the other projects. Same goes for if I'm part of another project, I can only get to see my information. And again, here's a good example that certain projects will be leveraging different types of frameworks as well, which we call solutions. So in this example, there's an extension being added, UML, to this model, which will be a new workspace for us. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are the dashboard out of the box Awais? I believe it's the one that you were showing. There's multiple dashboard you were showing.
So there are multiple dashboards which I have shown. Happy to share with you what's the out of box, but keep in mind in our Orbus Infinity knowledge base area, we have started uploading a lot of these dashboards templates, because these templates has been Power BI reports has been set up by us. We have created these templates, and we are happy to share with the community to be able to reuse. So if you have access to knowledge base as well, you can potentially go into Power BI area, and from here onwards you can essentially get starting with the Power BI, and here on the very bottom we will have some templates which we have added. The last templates which I added was in the community hub, so happy to share the link or the area where we are uploading these templates. So there's quite a number of different templates which we've been sharing through different different mechanisms. So happy for you to share with us which dashboard you are interested in. If they are custom ones, we'll share with you. But if they are out of box, we'll point out which solution does it belongs to.
Thank you. And maybe one more question: how does Solution Architecture Accelerator work? Is that like the standard user training style?
So the Solution Architecture Accelerator is something which I bring it in as well. So these are some of the steps which we would be walking you through the accelerator. These will be broken down into a number of different workshops. For each of these workshops, you would have you can bring in your own running project, and I think so that would be a best way for you to learn while we're running an accelerator, to show you throughout your entire solution journey. How do you create workspaces? How do you manage requirements for those solutions? And then what are the different artifacts you need to build? So we can help you to build those frameworks into your repository. And then what are the dashboards or decisions registers you need in order to make your decisions? And lastly, what are the templates for solution architecture Word documents you would need? So all of these accelerator will gives you quite a lot of materials and resources with templates that can be shared and that can be used moving forward for in your organization.
Thank you. That was really helpful. We still have a list of questions. I think next step will be we'll go through them and then answer each one and then post them on our Orbus Nexus, which is our community forum. To register, you just need to go to your Orbus Infinity. Awais, if you don't mind just showing on the screen there. Yep, just drop down the question mark and then that will bring you to the community forum. Do reach out to your account managers or CSM after today's session if you have any question regarding the community forum or any other questions. I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found today's session useful. Please have a great rest of the week and stay safe during the long weekend. Once again, thank you, Awais.
Thank you, everyone.